I love old motorcycles, and just a couple months ago I picked up a 1972 Yamaha LT2 100cc Enduro. There are a multitude of reasons to like old bikes, and in my case, motorcycles like this old two-stroke take me back to my childhood and learning to ride as a kid in the 1970s. Here's a picture of me and my dad in 1975 on our Suzukis, the year I learned to ride. I'm on my TM75 and he's on his TC185. It's now 46 years later and that same smile is still on my face every time I throw a leg over a motorcycle. But old bikes aren't just about old memories, they're increasingly appealing to younger and beginner riders too. A big reason, I think, is that they're just so darn simple to work on. By just loosening a couple latches and pulling a rubber band, the seat flips out of the way and the gas tank comes off. The exhaust comes off by removing just a simple spring and one bolt. And all of this using just simple tools and skills that I learned as a youngster by watching my dad. I think this kind of simplicity of design and this desire to work with one's hands has become increasingly appealing to a whole new generation, a generation that's tiring of a wholly digital existence. It's gratifying to take something apart and to put it back together again. Better yet, to learn why it may not be working properly, learning how to diagnose the problem, and then finding a successful solution. This is what the carburetor looks like now, after I've already put a considerable amount of work into it, though I'm pulling it today for just a bit more fine-tuning. It's all part of a process. The carb wasn't looking nearly this good just a couple of weeks ago, though, and the first time it was disassembled, it was this crusty mess. It took an afternoon of effort to clean the exterior of all the oil, dirt, and factory paint, but it was so worth it. It's the inside of the carb where the real magic happens, and there are numerous jets and screws and parts to disassemble, clean, and individually inspect. What I love about this kind of work is that you have to be fully in the moment, just like when you're riding. You're not thinking about yesterday or concerned about tomorrow. Old parts don't last forever though, and in the case of this old float bowl gasket, its time was up. Even using extreme care, pulling off the last little bit led to a tear, which makes it useless. I'm guessing it was 1975 when I first saw Dad pull out a roll of cork gasket material and proceed to trace, cut, and install a gasket that he made from scratch. We didn't even consider throwing something away when it didn't work. We figured out how to fix it. So I pulled out a pencil, a ruler, and an X-Acto knife and started making a gasket. But I got a bit stumped when it came to making nice, clean screw holes of the right size. And then I remembered an old leather punch that I thought might do the job. So I went to the basement and dug out a box I called Dad's Old Stuff. Obscuring the top of the box were my old welding gloves, but then a motorcycle number plate. The number plate for my first ever racing bike, a 1977 Suzuki RM80B. I loved that bike and those days spent at the track so much. Next, a license plate, 1986. It had to be from one of Dad's last motorcycles before he stopped riding. Before I learned about fancy aerosol lubricants, I used these old cans to oil my chain, the Kickstarter, everything. And this old Ford can. I wonder if Dad got it with one of his cars. And then what I came for, the leather punch. As a kid, it was always in the tool drawer, there to punch new holes in a belt as we grew, or on purses or sandal straps, or, well, anything that needed a hole punched. It has a turret of different sized holes and it should be just perfect for what I need. Memories are funny things, and sometimes they change as we get older. They can fade with time or become idealized, but it takes a trigger to recollect them. I love old motorcycles because they trigger so many wonderful memories, but motorcycles also ensure that I keep making new ones. Today's the day I got the carburetor sorted on this old Yamaha, and I made this video. And I remembered my dad, and it started to rain, and I'll remember this day. I do wonder where these bikes will all end up years from now. With each passing year, more and more of them will inevitably disappear, reduced to bits and pieces or left rusting and forgotten. At least a few will end up in museums and collections, where they can be viewed and appreciated, and that's a very cool thing. But the very best thing for a motorcycle, regardless of age, its very purpose is to be looked after and to be ridden. And I guess I've realized that part of my purpose is to be doing just that. Hey, thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please do give it a like, and I hope you'll consider subscribing for future riding and wrenching videos. Ride safe.